Everyone goes to superhero school to learn how to be super. The best ranked students at superhero school become world famous heroes, like the great and powerful Miracle Man. But what about the worst ranked heroes? What happens to them? Shane huffed and puffed as he ran across the finish line. He was last place in the superpowered obstacle course again. I mean, his power was making coins fly around. He wasn't exactly an athletic guy. Hate to see it, champ, Miracle Man said, trying not to laugh, clapping for Shane putting in the final effort. The popular kids, like Kicker and Queen Puff, laughed at Shane openly. Why don't you just give up, Kicker said. You don't belong here. Shane wanted to crawl into a ball, but it was too late. The period was over, and he had class. He hated it here. Superhero school was awesome if you were popular. If your parents had thousands of dollars to pay for the perfect costume, and if you had the boutique superpowers, like kicking balls of fire or controlling vortexes of dust, superhero school was a breeze. But if you were a weird bald kid like Shane, it could be pretty rough. He had to sew his costume by himself the night of the first day of school, just so he didn't look stupid. It was made out of hand-me-down clothes, and his costume may or may not have been made out of a garbage bag. At this point, you should just give up, Kicker said, as Shane failed the obstacle course a second time. Shane fell over. Miracle Man kept the students busy, making them do courses like crime investigation and superpowered obstacle courses. Shane came last in every single one, and status was tied to how well you did in class, so that meant he had no friends. Every night when he went to sleep in his tiny little dorm room, he asked himself, why do I suck so much? Someone knocked on his door in the middle of the night. No one knocked on Shane's door. He had no friends. Hello? Shane said. He walked over to it. The door creaked open, revealing a tall man in a dark cape, so dark that it looked like it was made of the night. His eyes glinted in the shadow. Hello, Shane, Dark Shadow said. Shane fell off his bed. Dark Shadow, he said. Dark Shadow was one of the most notorious supervillains of the world, and he was here, in Shane's dorm room. What could Dark Shadow possibly want with him? I came to talk, Dark Shadow said, holding in a laugh. Get away from me, Shane said. I can call people. Miracle Man's on the campus. You can call Miracle Man if you want, Dark Shadow said, chuckling. And what's he gonna do? Chase me away? You're still gonna be in last place, you know. Shane struggled to hide his insecurity. You know about that? Everybody knows about that, Dark Shadow said. The rankings are public. And let me cue you in on a little secret. The 500th place of the school doesn't go on to become a great superhero. Shane held in tears. Try not to call in Miracle Man, by the way. I'd have to beat him like I did last time, Dark Shadow said. Shane shuddered. You kill people, right? Shane said. Among other things, Dark Shadow said. But that's not important right now. Shane knew what a hero was supposed to do in the situation. Sound the alarm. Fight till his last breath. But Dark Shadow was the worst supervillain. If Miracle Man couldn't defeat him, what chance did Shane have? He thought about summoning his coin and firing it at Dark Shadow. He didn't. Good, you're not going to fight back. Maybe you're not as stupid as you look, Dark Shadow said. They walked through the shadows of superhero school. Shane had never seen it so empty. They were on a strict curfew. But every time a guard walked by, Dark Shadow waved his hand, and they were hidden in the darkness. Do you know what happens to kids who come last place in superhero school? Dark Shadow said. Shane shook his head. No, I think it's because nobody wants to be, right? Smart kid, Dark Shadow said. I'll give you the answer. They lead sad little lives. A lot of them go back to being normal people. If they're lucky, they become a sidekick to a bigger hero. Someone in the top 50 ranks, you know, Dark Shadow said. They never live up to their potential. None of them. But some of them go on another path. Shane's chest burned with hunger. What? Dark Shadow stepped through a shadow in the wall and appeared behind Shane, speaking into his ear. They become more. Shane fell over, scared by Dark Shadow appearing behind him. The other kids underestimate you because you're not physical. You don't have good control over your abilities. But I've seen what you can do. You're a lot more than meets the eye, you know, Dark Shadow said. They never taught you what you can be. and they never will, Dark Shadow said. I can teach you. He put his hand out, ready to shake. But things aren't free, my boy. If you let me teach you how to use your powers, you have to help me. I won't do it. Shane took a step back. Just go. I can't do this. Dark Shadow's eyes narrowed. All right, do whatever you want. But let me ask you one more question. Shane gulped. Do you want to live your life as a nothing? Dark Shadow said. Shane thought about it. Everyone laughing at him, being last place in the race, being a loser his entire life. No, I don't, Shane said. He reached out and shook Dark Shadow's hand. They trained all night, every night, after the heroes went to sleep. They found out that Shane's powers weren't limited to coins. He could actually control all metal. Dark Shadow told him to focus and control his breathing as he lifted the bleachers off the football stadium, high above the ground. Shane laughed. He never thought that he could be so powerful. But in the meantime, Dark Shadow was planning. The night of their 20th training session, Dark Shadow nodded. You're ready. Show them what you can do. But now you have to hold up your end of the bargain. Shane knew this day would come. He was already seeing the changes every night, and he was excited to show his abilities to the other kids. But he remembered his promise. He had to keep it. I'm close to finding Miracle Man's weakness, you know, Dark Shadow said. There's just one little piece of how his abilities work that I don't understand. Find out what his weakness is, and you're dead. And what happens if I don't help you? Shane said. Dark Shadow's eyes went red. He grew 50 feet, huge, as tall as the moon, blotting out all light, and pinned Shane to the ground with his shadow. You know I kill people, don't you? Dark Shadow said. It doesn't matter how powerful you are. Never forget you're my bug that I can squash whenever I want. Okay, Shane said. I'll help you. Dark Shadow sifted into nothing. Shane knew it was him or Miracle Man now. And what did Miracle Man ever do for him, anyway? Shane was huffing and puffing on the obstacle course, still running in last place. Metal walls fell as the students tried to use their superpowers to dodge them and get ahead of the other kids. It was time to show them what he could do, now. Shane put his hands out and all the metal walls stopped. The obstacle course was state-of-the-art. It wasn't supposed to do that. The kids looked around confused. Then Shane moved his hands. The metal walls twisted and turned, turning into metal chains that went around all the other kids, putting them to the ground. Shane chuckled and walked leisurely past all the popular kids to the front of the course, crossing the finish line in first place. With one exercise, he went from last place in the school to first. I will not live my life as a nothing, Shane said. Hey, that's not fair, Kicker said, struggling in his restraints. He cheated! The Miracle Man flew down and looked shocked that Shane had finished first. No, he's within the rules, Miracle Man said, looking at Kicker and Shane with a weird look. Kids didn't usually pass each other in superhero school, but today was clearly a different day. All right, Shane, congratulations. Is there anything you want to say to the rest of the class? I'm better than you, Shane said to Kicker. All of you. He walked away with his hands clenched together. He tried to keep in his guilt, his debt, at learning how to use his powers. But in that moment, telling all the students how he felt amazing. Shane was buzzing with excitement and guilt. Yeah, he had told them everything he wanted. He had hit his fantasy, but he was still alone. And the price, he had to figure out what Miracle Man was weak to. Maybe someone knocked on his door. It was time to tell him. He didn't know what his weakness was. He was totally screwed. He opened the door. Look, Oh. Miracle Man stood in the door. Got a minute? Miracle Man said. Shane took a step back. Good job out there today, Miracle Man said. Great hustle. Wasn't a huge fan of how you talked to the other kids, though, Miracle Man said. Thanks? I'm sorry, Shane said. You know, being a hero is more about being more powerful than somebody else, Miracle Man said. Shane scoffed. Easy for you to say. Shane looked confused. I see I'm going to have to convince you. He put his hand out. Come with me. They flew out the window, high above superhero school. Shane could control metal, but even he was terrified of how high they flew. But Miracle Man was comfortable and relaxed among the night sky. They flew so high they could see the city that he protected in the distance. I'm not the most powerful. I started at rank number 500, just like you. Shane looked at Miracle Man in shock. That's right. I'm not the fastest or the strongest, Miracle Man said. Yeah, you are, Shane said. You're everyone's favorite. Maybe nowadays, Miracle Man said. But it took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get to this moment. Shane remembered all those nights training with Dark Shadow. Yeah. No, Shane, the truth is I get my power from the amount of people that believe in me. I can only fly or lift a building over my head if everyone thinks that I can do it. Shane's stomach dropped. The weakness Dark Shadow was looking for. He now knew what it was. But how did you know you could do it before that happened? Shane said. Well, it all started with one thing, Miracle Man said, kind of chuckling. And let me tell you, it wasn't telling all the other kids how much better than them I was. I don't think I've ever done that. No, it came from me believing in myself, Miracle Man said. Shane's eyes widened. He put Shane down and flew towards the city, going to do his patrol after teaching class all day. Dark Shadow appeared right next to Shane. He told you his weakness, didn't he? Dark Shadow said. Shane stammered. He tried to think of something to say, but he couldn't. Dark Shadow pinned him to the ground with the shadow, ripping through Shane's costume and punching into his chest. I taught you everything you know. And if I tell everyone you've been training with me, you'll be lucky to work as a sidekick. You'll be lucky they keep you out of prison. His eyes glowed red. Now tell me his weakness. Shane tried to reach out, to grab metal from nearby, to fight Dark Shadow in some way, but Dark Shadow stabbed through his hand with shadow. Oh, we won't have any of that, Dark Shadow said. His weakness. Tell me it. Shane struggled. Miracle Man wasn't a bad guy. Yeah, he was maybe a little ignorant, but he couldn't just let him. I kill people, remember? Dark Shadow said. He put a knife of shadow right up to Shane's eye. Do you want to know what dying feels like? Shane couldn't take it anymore. Believe. The shadows pulled away. Dark Shadow looked at him. What? He needs, people to believe in him, Shane said. Dark Shadow disappeared in a moment, and Shane was all alone. Shane woke up late for class. He tried to rush to the classroom, but all the kids were crowded around the TV. What's going on? Shane said. Look, Kicker said. Miracle Man was fighting Dark Shadow in the middle of the city, but every billboard read the same thing. Miracle Man is a fraud. And as they investigated the fight, he could see that Miracle Man's powers weren't working. Dark Shadow was a huge mass of shadow and tentacles, but Miracle Man was just trying to fight him with his fists. He couldn't even fly. He was losing and covered in blood. Shane's stomach dropped as Dark Shadow pierced through Miracle Man's chest, and Miracle Man fell to the ground. All the kids who had known Miracle Man for every moment gasped. Is he dead? Queen Puff said. Shane fell to the ground. This is my fault, he said. He had meant to just say it to himself, but all the kids turned to look at him. What? Kicker said. It's all my fault, Shane said. I told him his weakness. He crawled into a ball on the ground, ready for the other kids to beat into him, to turn him dead the same way that Dark Shadow had killed Miracle Man. But instead, Kicker helped him to his feet. Shane didn't notice before, but the popular boy was terrified. Yeah, he's dead. So, what are you going to do about it? Kicker said. All the other students all around Shane were looking to him for guidance. Dark Shadow laughed, standing over Miracle Man's dead body. Finally, he said, I'm finally able to kadoom. A huge sheet of metal from a billboard pierced through Dark Shadow's cape. He turned and saw Shane floating on metal, flying towards him. Dark Shadow laughed. You seriously think you can fight me alone? Kicker kicked a fireball and it pierced through Dark Shadow's shadow behind him. Queen Puff surrounded Dark Shadow in a tornado of dust. Shane smiled. I'm the worst student. I need help, remember? Every single student came to the fight. Dark Shadow's darkness was everywhere, but he was alone. The students worked together, using their talents in tandem to beat the shadows back, shining lights on it, giving him nowhere to transport. That's it, Shane said. Now everybody... Dark Shadow grabbed Shane by the throat. Party's over, he said. Shane struggled. He tried to manipulate metal and attack Dark Shadow, but Dark Shadow grabbed onto his throat tighter and tighter. I taught you everything you know, Dark Shadow said. You seriously think I couldn't cut you like the flower you are? Shane hoped against hope. He prayed. And Miracle Man rose from below Dark Shadow, grabbed him, and flew him into the sky. Shane touched at his throat. He couldn't believe he was still alive. He looked up and saw Miracle Man pushing Dark Shadow into space, into the sun. That's impossible, Kicker said, next to him, looking up at the spectacle. How? He said. Shane smiled. He's Miracle Man. I figured it out, he said. The way to believe in Miracle Man. How? Kicker said. He just needed someone to believe in him, Shane said. One last time. As Miracle Man flew Dark Shadow into the sun, Shane realized he didn't care if he was the worst student in the entire school. Shane believed in himself.